Cuba's army boasts relics of Soviet might: T-62 tanks prowling rusting depots, MiG fighters grounded by embargoes, and a staggering 1.15 million strong militia standing ready. Yet beneath the surface, decades of shortages and decaying hardware threaten to leave these defenses hollow. If a U.S. invasion force landed tomorrow, could Cuba's true arsenal delay destruction, or would these numbers unravel in hours? That answer begins with the cold, hard count. Rows of T-55 and T-62 tanks sit in depots across Cuba, their steel hulls a reminder of Soviet partnership and Cold War priorities. Official inventories claim over 1,500 tanks, but open-source estimates put the number of operational vehicles closer to 225, with perhaps 124 ready for combat at any given time. Armored personnel carriers and infantry fighting vehicles, including BMP-1s, BTR-60s, and a mix of Russian and Chinese trucks, add up to nearly 5,000 on paper, though fewer than 2,700 are likely serviceable. Artillery remains a backbone of ground firepower: 60 self-propelled guns, about 260 towed pieces, and a small but potent force of BM-21 Grad multiple rocket launchers, with only 8 of 15 launchers believed to be operational. Cuban ground doctrine draws heavily from its years in Angola, where over 50,000 troops learned to improvise under pressure, fix Soviet hardware with scrap and ingenuity, and coordinate combined arms assaults against better supplied adversaries. These lessons shape today's emphasis on field repairs and quick redeployment, even as embargoes and spare parts shortages force units to cannibalize older vehicles for parts. Regimental commanders drill their battalions in rapid obstacle construction, laying mines and creating choke points along likely invasion routes. While the hardware is dated and the numbers inflated by non-functional stock, Cuba's ground forces focus on denying coastal access, using massed artillery and armored counterattacks to slow any landing. If a beachhead forms, the plan is simple: turn the shoreline and urban edges into a maze of fire, buying time for reserves and militia to mobilize. MiG fighters once thundered over Cuban skies in the hundreds, but today the Air Force faces a steep decline. The official roster lists 18 MiG-29s, 17 MiG-23s, and 24 MiG-21s. Open-source estimates, though, suggest only 17 to 25 combat aircraft remain truly operational. Many others sit idle, stripped for parts, or grounded by lack of fuel. The last major flyover, recorded in 2023, featured fewer than a dozen jets in the air at once. Each year, flight hours shrink as embargoes and spare parts shortages bite deeper. Helicopter strength tells a similar story. Cuba holds about 12 Mi-17, Mi-24, and Mi-35 helicopters, but no more than 6 are believed flyable at any time. Of the 4 dedicated attack helicopters, only 2 are likely combat-ready. Training flights are rare, and pilots often rotate through aging machines to keep up basic proficiency. The limits of this fleet shape every defensive plan. Even in an all-out scramble, Cuba could launch at most a few dozen sorties in a day, nowhere near enough to contest the skies against a modern air campaign. With so few interceptors and attack helicopters, the Air Force cannot guarantee protection for ground units or urban centers. Instead, doctrine leans heavily on ground-based missile defenses, accepting that the Air Force's main role is to delay, distract, and harass, rather than secure the island's airspace. Cuba's coastal waters bristle with small, fast attack craft and patrol boats, each designed to make any landing a costly gamble. The Navy operates 24 vessels in total, including 2 aging frigates, 1 corvette, and about a dozen missile-armed patrol boats. While none of these ships can challenge a modern fleet in open waters, their purpose is clear: deny access close to shore and turn narrow sea lanes into kill zones. Soviet-era Osa-2 and Molniya missile boats still carry Styx-type anti-ship missiles, and fast attack craft can lay naval mines at choke points or near harbors. There are no active submarines in the arsenal, but mine warfare remains a core tactic. Hundreds of anti-ship and anti-landing mines are held in reserve, ready to be deployed by small boats or even civilian trawlers pressed into service. Infantry weapons stockpiles reinforce this defensive web. The standard rifle for both regulars and militia is the AKM or AK-74, supported by PKM machine guns and RPG-7 anti-tank launchers. These weapons are simple, reliable, and easy to distribute on short notice. In total, stockpiles are sized to arm over 1 million reservists if needed. The Territorial Troops Militia, known as MTT, forms the backbone of this surge capacity. With 1.15 million members on paper, the MTT trains for rapid mobilization in every province, drilling in coastal ambushes, urban blockades, and guerrilla tactics. Should an invasion begin, these reservists would flood defensive lines, reinforce regular army units, and turn Cuba's cities and countryside into a maze of small unit resistance. The combination of sea mines, missile boats, and massed militia ensures that any attacker must fight for every inch, both on the water and on land. In May 2025, Defense Minister Alvaro López Miera ordered the most significant upgrade to Cuba's air defenses since the Cold War. The centerpiece is the Pechora 2BM, a Belarusian modernized version of the old S-125 system, now mounted on T-55 tank chassis for better mobility. Official claims put 144 of these launchers in service, though outside analysts estimate that only half to two-thirds are actually operational at any time. These mobile batteries form a shifting belt around Havana, Santiago, and key coastal approaches, designed to deny low-flying aircraft a safe path inland. The Pechora 2BM's improved radar can track cruise missiles and drones, giving defenders a fighting chance to disrupt precision strikes in the opening hours of an attack. Older S-75 launchers, relics from the days of the U-2 shootdown, still dot the countryside, though their reliability is in doubt. To plug the gaps, thousands of Igla and Strela shoulder-fired missiles are distributed to regulars and militia, creating a mesh of short-range threats across likely landing zones and urban perimeters. The radar network remains largely Soviet in design, but recent repairs and spare parts from Belarus keep it functional enough to cue missile batteries and alert ground forces. Serviceable rates hover between 50 and 70%, with crews trained to relocate launchers quickly after firing. Every move is calculated to make any air campaign costly and uncertain, forcing attackers to commit time and resources just to clear a path through the layered shield. On the southern coast, the lessons of Playa Girón echo through every defensive plan. In 1961, it took just 72 hours for local militia and regulars to encircle and defeat an invading force at Playa Girón, now remembered as the Bay of Pigs. Today, the geography remains unforgiving, with long, swampy approaches, narrow causeways, and dense urban centers that force any attacker into predictable choke points. Cuban commanders expect the first hours of an assault to be a brutal contest for the beaches, with artillery and BM-21 rocket salvos targeting landing craft and minefields blocking the fastest routes inland. If a beachhead forms, the fight shifts quickly to the outskirts of towns like Matanzas and the approaches to Havana, where militia units pour in from all directions. Within 48 hours, the territorial troops, over 1 million strong on paper, would be surging toward the front, armed with AK rifles and RPGs. Logistics become a race against exhaustion. Fuel and ammunition stocks, already stretched thin by embargoes, would dictate how long regular units could hold out before falling back on guerrilla tactics. As one regimental commander put it during a bastion exercise, "We do not measure victory in territory, but in time bought for the nation." By the end of 2 weeks, every kilometer would be contested ground, and the cost of each advance would be measured in days, not meters. Side by side, the strengths and weaknesses of Cuba's defenses and potential USA attack strategies form a tangled picture. Cuba's greatest advantage lies in its geography and the density of its defensive layers. Swamps, narrow causeways, and urban sprawl slow any advance, while belts of Pechora 2BM missiles, old S-75 launchers, and scattered man-pads force attackers to commit time and resources just to carve a path through the airspace. The minefields and anti-ship missile boats lurking near the coast present a real hazard for landing craft, and the territorial troops militia, over 1 million strong, can turn any town or highway into a maze of resistance. Even with dated equipment, these factors guarantee that the first hours and days would be costly for any invader. USA forces bring overwhelming power in ways Cuba cannot match. Carrier strike groups can generate up to 150 air sorties a day, using stealth aircraft and standoff missiles to suppress air defenses and destroy fixed positions from beyond the range of most Cuban systems. Amphibious ready groups can deliver thousands of Marines and heavy vehicles directly to the shoreline, supported by precision-guided artillery and drones. Tactics focused on suppression of enemy air defenses and destruction of enemy air defenses, refined in decades of conflict, are designed to neutralize systems like the Pechora 2BM and to saturate static defenses. Where Cuba relies on the density of its ground-based shields and the rapid mobilization of militia, USA forces counter with speed, precision, and sheer logistical depth. What emerges is a matrix of friction points. Cuba's layered air defenses and minefields can delay and disrupt, but not stop, a modern combined arms assault. The terrain and mass mobilization complicate any occupation, yet the lack of modern air and naval power leaves Cuba vulnerable to sustained bombardment and blockade. Each side holds cards the other cannot fully counter, setting the stage for a contest defined by time, cost, and the willingness to absorb losses. Cuba's arsenal stands as both shield and signal, a reminder that even outdated defenses shape global choices. As military technology races ahead, the real test isn't firepower, but resolve and consequence. In today's world, deterrence still matters. What's your take? Join the conversation below.